Hey y'all, it's Brandon with Voodoo Forge, and Vevor sent me something, and I think it's pretty cool. This is the Vevor Cut 50P plasma cutter. Now, if you don't know what a plasma cutter is, I'm not going to give you a very scientific explanation. Basically, it takes electricity and compressed air to convert the material you're cutting into plasma, which is the fourth stage of matter. Somebody who can really explain this is probably going, what is this yokel talking about? But basically, you can cut through various materials, steel, pretty easily with a plasma cutter. It blasts right through. Think a torch without having to fool with oxygen and acetylene or oxygen and propane. You can cut. You can pierce steel and cut, so you can cut things out of the center of plates. You can cut holes. You can cut designs. You can do all kinds of things with a plasma cutter. Plasma cutters have traditionally been pretty large and pretty expensive. But recently, I believe this inverter technology that has come along has made it to where you can make them smaller and cheaper. Just a few years ago, the cost would have kept a plasma cutter out of a smaller shop. But this one is less than $200 is the regular price for this thing. Excited about this. I'm sure that the unboxing here is going to be uneventful, but it took this thing like 2 days to get here. That is pretty cool, especially the way FedEx does in my area. I'm assuming that's all the accessories, and oh man, this thing is light. So I thought it said it weighed 27 pounds. There is no way this weighs 27 pounds. Oh man, it's tiny. Everything that goes with it. Manual, bolt, all that. Ground. Teflon tape. Oh, a huge amount of Teflon tape. Like it comes with an air dryer, which is good because I was going to have to go get one. There's our torch, consumables. I got this thing put together on the air dryer regulator thing here. It came with this little nipple, which I believe is for some more of this tubing to go to something, but that's ridiculous. So I had this regular air, I don't know, chuck, nipple, quick release, whatever you call them. I had one of these in with my air stuff, so I put one of those in. So that's what we're going with instead. Everything else pretty self-explanatory, which is good because it's not a huge amount of stuff in the manual. So, I don't know, let's cut something. It comes with this adapter pigtail, so you can run it in 110, but we've got 220 in the shop, so that's where we're running it out. So it did suggest running this between 0.3 and 0.5, so I'm going to run it at 4. So I got it set about halfway because I'm cutting some materials about 1/4 inch. It's supposed to cut a little over 1/2 inch. Okay. Man, that punched right through there. The second time, I got off a little bit the first time. That's not the cleanest in the world.
What?
Nicole's gonna try it out here. She's never used a plasma. Don't put it in my soda.
That is awesome.
Careful, there's a hot piece down there.
That is awesome.
Okay, this is about a 1/2 inch leaf spring. Yeah, that didn't cut clean, but dadgummit, it cut all the way through. It was just slag holding it on. It's alright, son. Tinkering with this thing for a few days now, and this is on its lowest setting. This is some about 18 gauge material, and you can see it'll blast right through it. Alright, so far so good. This thing's cutting great. Everything seems to be going fine with it. The thing that gives me pause is it only came with 1 cup, 3 nozzles, and 3 electrodes. Now, not as much the cup, but definitely the nozzles and electrodes are, well, the cup too, are consumables on the torch of the plasma gun. And this did not come with a lot of them. So I looked on Vevor's website and I can't find just the consumables. So if you can't get those, then that means when these are gone, your plasma cutter's garbage. My mentor, Dano, had a plasma cutter that he bought around 2000, and around 2012, they quit making consumables for it. He couldn't get consumables anymore. And this is when plasma cutters cost quite a bit more. This is like a $3,000 machine, and suddenly he couldn't get consumables for it, so it became a $3,000 piece of scrap. And he had to get another one that cost around $3,000. So I wanted to check for cheap consumables. Now this is what we're talking about. This is the cup. This is the nozzle. Well, I better get a pair of pliers. This is going to be the nozzle. And this is the electrode, which is already starting to get a little funky, but still, everything looks like it's in decent shape. I looked on Amazon and I found these nozzles, electrodes, and cups pretty cheap. This set came with 5 cups with these spacers that I've already quit using, 20 electrodes, and 20 nozzles. I just want to make sure they fit before I get too excited. But this stuff was not expensive at all. It was like 22 bucks for all of this. Okay. It fits. Check the nozzle. Okay, that fits. I don't want this spacer on here, so I'll pop that up. Alright. Everything seems to fit. This is with our cheap Amazon components. Let's see how it does. Yeah, they seem to work just fine. Okay, so far the only thing that I really don't like about this is this safety cover, and it works fine. I can use it now. It threw me off a little when I first picked it up. It threw Jewel off when she first picked it up.
Do I just press this?
No, look, it's got that stupid safety lever. Fold that up, and then there's a trigger. I can get around it fine now. I thought about just breaking it off, but I don't know. I'm going to leave it for now. I might get used to it. It might actually save me some trouble when I just set the torch down on the table. So, I don't know. Well, I'll decide that later. But that's the only thing that has not been super easy to use about this entire thing. Okay, I want to be clear about these hold-offs. These go on the cup. The ones that came with it are quite a bit flimsier, more flimsy than the ones with the Amazon consumables. But after a few cuts, I just quit using it, and it's been fine. So I don't, maybe you need the hold off, but I don't think you do. I think you can live without that. So if your hold off pops off, don't worry about it. This is some 10 gauge aluminum. No problems there. This is some 3/16 medium carbon steel. I'm going to start with its lowest setting. Got about half through, so we'll turn it to about halfway up. Whew, I just about cut through, so turn it up about 3/4 of the way. Really, that didn't go through. Huh. Well, that's just about through. We'll turn it up just a hair more. Okay, so I think what happened on that next to last cut is I was holding it at a slight angle. Let's try backing it off just a hair and try holding it at a perfect 90. See if we can take a little corner off here. Yeah, so that took it off that time, so it was me holding it not at a 90 that did that. But let's see about beveling material a little. Oh man. So not super clean on the edge there, but if you needed to put a bevel on something, that'd be a whole lot quicker to just grind that little bit of slag off than it would be to grind the whole bevel. So it's cutting that no problem. For less than $200, I don't know why you wouldn't want one in the shop. It's not the cleanest cutting plasma cutter I've ever seen, but it's the price is right. So I've had this thing for about a week. I've used it just tinkering around. I've used it on some jobs. I've got some upcoming projects that this thing is going to be great for. And I can't speak to the longevity of it. I don't know if this is going to last for years, but like I said, the price is right on this. The consumables are available and inexpensive. If this thing tears up, I'll order another one, because at that price, honestly, if I can get 6 months out of it, if I get 2 months out of this using it a few times a week, it will have easily paid for itself. I mean, you can take this machine and make money with it. And if you just have a hobby shop, it's being an invaluable tool. I mean, anything, working on farm equipment, anything. I have not tried this out, which is where you can plug it into a regular 110. Maybe I'll do another video where I do that. Maybe I'll take it up to Granville and cut some stuff up there or something. But I hadn't tried this, but I like the idea of it. I like the idea of, you know, there's something light that I need to cut. I'm not in the shop. I can just take this little thing and use that. So I'll test that later. But thus far, I have no complaints about this. It's not, like I said, it's not the best plasma cutter I've ever used, but I mean, for the price, I don't know what you would possibly complain about. So I'll put a link. To this and the consumables in the description of the video, and also a code for another 5% discount on it. But if you do any amount of metalworking and you don't have a plasma cutter, I would go for this. I'll tell you what, I will probably, if I have electricity and an air compressor remotely nearby, I don't think I'm going to be putting the cutting head back on my torch. I'll just use the welding tip and the rosebud and won't use that for cutting anymore, if everything goes well. So anyway, I hope y'all got something out of this, and y'all behave.